This is a Hot Pie Original.
Hi, this is Pat Pearson and Hot Pie Media, bringing you Stop Self-Sabotage. I'm going to be bringing you this program every week, and we're going to be delving into the wonderful messiness of our lives. We're going to be talking about your hopes, your fears, and the emotional issues that you need to resolve to make you even happier will be discussed at all the times we're together. In this process, you got to ask yourself, what's in it for you? Well, what's in it is an uplifting information, renewed hope, and some fabulous people who are going to come in to share their life stories. All of it wrapped up in a wonderful container to help you deserve even more of life's great adventure. Come join me. We're going to have a good time on Hot Pie Media. Stop Self-Sabotage. Welcome to Stop Self-Sabotage. We're going to talk about your sleep sanctuary with Mr. Jeff Stroud. Hi, Jeff. Good to have you.
Hello, Pat. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us how you became a guru of sleep. You're interested in sleep. You have been for many, many years. Tell us a little bit about that.
So my family has been in the bedding industry for over 40 years. We used to operate a chain of stores that was based in California called Stroud's Linens. And we have always been interested and fascinated about the fact that people have different personal preferences when it comes to their bedding. And there's a wide variety of the types of bedding that people prefer. A good example might be some people like a very soft pillow to cradle their head at night, and other people like a very firm pillow for support. So what we've been on a mission to do throughout my career is to develop products that will meet the needs of people's individually so that we can have the right product to create their sleep sanctuary, which is the entire bed. And one of the things that we know for sure is that when you're comfortable in bed, you're going to sleep well. And when you sleep well, there are tremendous benefits both for your physical health and your mental health.
Yes, it's amazing. I was given some sleep facts by you, thank you, that are so amazing to me. Let me just run through a few of these and we'll discuss them. Poor sleep is linked to higher body weight. Oh my gosh. Every woman in the world is going, I'm going down for 10 hours tonight to lose weight. And it said the risk factors for obesity. And do you know why that might be? What is it that does?
Sure. Well, there was one study that children and adults that were not having the proper amount of sleep, maybe only 4 to 5 hours a night, were 55 and 89% more likely to develop obesity.
Wow.
And this is just one of the many issues that are related to poor sleep. The thing that's really interesting, Pat, is that over the past 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of research on this topic because, as you know, people are more interested in wellness today.
Yes.
And if you look at fitness and nutrition and how people have become sort of obsessed with those aspects of wellness, now people are coming around to the idea and starting to understand how important sleep is, as well as fitness and nutrition to wellness. Okay. And so while, of course, a regular exercise is great to fend off obesity, which people know, a lot of people don't know that poor sleep is also related to obesity.
I didn't know that at all. And let's back up for 1 second. How many hours should an adult get of sleep?
7 to 8 hours a night is the proper amount of sleep. And you would say that somebody is not getting enough sleep at maybe 4 to 5 hours.
Okay. So there's a swing there. Somebody may be fine at 6, but 4 to 5 is going to be sleep deprived.
Exactly.
And how much, I think there's, one of this wonderful research, how many people, what's the percentage of people who are sleep deprived?
Okay. So the Center for Disease Control in the United States has actually declared that sleep disorders, an epidemic in the United States.
Wow.
That about 1/3 of Americans, 33% of the population is not sleeping 7 to 8 hours.
Wow.
And it's something that most people don't know, that fact. We know about other epidemics and pandemics and things that are threatening to our health.
Right.
But we don't realize that just not getting enough sleep, how terribly damaging that is.
Right. And it's damaging. You were talking about not only is it damaging to your concentration and productivity, it's damaging to your physical health. So let's talk about concentration here for a minute. And I love this because I've always thought this, like medical interns who were up for 24 hours. One of the statistics is 36% more serious medical errors. So you want to make sure that who's ever treating you, they've had a nap somewhere. You're right.
Exactly. When it comes to memory and the ability to process information, sleep is critical. The old idea of staying up all night and cramming for an exam as a good way to pass a test.
Right.
Well, that has been completely debunked by research. That basically in one study that was recently held, there was a 40% deficit in people's ability to remember facts after being sleep deprived.
Interesting.
And so it's almost as if your brain is normally like a sponge that can absorb information and memories. But when you don't have enough sleep, you become almost waterlogged or saturated. And it all has to do with the hippocampus and the chemistry of the brain.
Right.
When you don't get enough sleep. Right.
Yeah, well, I've had certainly some feelings that I have had that problem at certain times, but I don't think I'm unlike a lot of people. I have had sleep problems, and I've consulted doctors, of course. I've now gotten regulated in my sleep, but I remember when I wasn't sleeping very well, and I would get up in the morning and I would have to have 3 cups of coffee before the brain would kick in. And I remember telling my partner at the time, I said, I had a cup and the cup said at the bottom of the cup where there wasn't much coffee, it said, shh. And then the next one was almost. And when I got to the top of the coffee and I was drinking it said, you can talk now. And I love that because it was exactly what I needed. It was like, I can't compute. I can't get it. Can't get it very well until this brain kicks back in. And also another thing to mention for all of our women listeners is that good sleepers tend to eat fewer calories. I love this one. And why? Because of ghrelin, and which is a hormone, and leptin, and those hormones get balanced with sleep, it sounds like. Is that true?
Exactly. And it's sort of, when you look at some of these problems that develop with poor sleep, you look at the things that are great when you get the right amount of sleep. So it's sort of the other side of the coin with obesity. If you're not getting enough sleep, you tend to become more obese. But when you're getting the sleep that you need, you tend to consume fewer calories just because you feel better and you just don't need a sugar high or whatever it is you're looking for.
Right.
And weight loss and weight regulation are important factors in getting the proper amount of sleep. Absolutely.
Athletic performance. Here's a study. 2,800 women found poor sleep was linked to slower walking, lower grip strength, greater difficulty performing independent activities. And that really applies too to seniors, doesn't it? Who have falls because they're not sleeping. I mean, there's all kinds of, I would think, medical and physical information about why seniors particularly, who a lot of times say they don't need that much sleep. I remember my granddad saying, nah, I don't need it. I can do 3 hours, but they can't.
Yeah. And I think this is one that people can really feel in their own lives. And I know I've experienced it. I'm a swimmer and I swim 1,500 meters a day. It's a very important part of my life is to keep fit. But I absolutely notice if I go do that workout and I did not get the proper amount of sleep the night before, every stroke is harder to make in that pool. It's just really difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can feel that difference if you're well rested. I get in there and I feel great. And it's just a completely different experience with the fitness routine.
Yeah. Of course. Okay. So greater risk of heart disease and stroke. My goodness. And type 2 diabetes. So let's talk about that for a second.
So this is a really interesting one. We talk about all the different studies that are done.
Right.
Well, there's one study that happens every year in the United States, and it's called daylight savings time.
I know that study. I've read about that study.
You know that study. It happens every year. 320 million people in the United States.
All right. Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that when we spring forward and we lose an hour of sleep, would you believe that the heart attacks reported at hospitals increases by 24%?
That's extraordinary.
Just by losing one single hour of sleep.
Jeez.
And then the opposite occurs when we fall back and we gain an hour, the rate of heart attack drops by 21%. So it's just amazing. And this is one of the arguments to ban the whole daylight savings time thing, because it really does create problems. In fact, you can see the same effect in traffic accidents and suicide rates when we lose the hour of sleep in daylight savings time.
Really?
So that's a study that's not really a study. It just happens to happen every year.
Jeez, that's amazing, Jeff. Yeah, and exactly. And is that because you lose an hour of sleep, or the anxiety over losing an hour of sleep? I mean, what do we know why exactly?
It could probably be both. I think that obviously when you don't get enough sleep, that is also linked to anxiety and depression.
Right.
Which is, we know, in fact, 90% of people who have clinical depression report not sleeping well.
Yeah.
So
it's a little chicken.
There's absolutely a link there.
Well, of course, yeah. And there's a little chicken or the egg. Did they not sleep and then they got depressed, or were they depressed and then they didn't sleep? But and to your point, I'm sure is if we get them sleeping, their depression will lighten. It will lift. At least it will lift some. Yeah.
Well, you just brought up what is a really, really great point, which is sort of the arrow of causation. And how does that really work? Because we talked about when you sleep well, you will live well, right?
Yes.
But it's also almost like a yin and a yang. When you live well, you're going to sleep well.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, and it's also, if you're not sleeping well, you're going to become depressed. If you become depressed, you're going to not sleep well. And so that arrow of causation is almost circular there.
Yes, circular.
And what we find is that when people are comfortable in their bed and they're sleeping well through the night, they tend to live better the next day. And when they're living better, they feel good and they're able to sleep well the next night. And it's a positive spiral upward. I
gotcha. Yes, of course. And then they're nicer human beings to be with. They're more present. They're less depressed. They Their immune function is up, right? We have to see that too. Their inflammation is down, and all those things that cause ongoing problems in your health. So let's also talk about emotions and social interactions. What happens emotionally to you when you don't get enough sleep?
Well, there's research that shows, Pat, that when you're not sleeping well, one of the studies showed that you're not able to recognize other people's emotions, whether it's anger, right, or happiness or whatever. It's almost as some people have tied it to. It's almost like being drunk. Okay, your judgment is impaired, and you can't remember things, and you can't recognize or appreciate when somebody's upset, these kinds of things. So it can be terribly damaging to relationships. If you are not recognizing when your friend or your partner or whoever is angry or upset, or has some other emotional issue, you can't then empathize with them. And you can't really develop or have, a strong relationship bond if you don't recognize somebody else's emotions. So I think it also spills over into relationships. And of course, obviously too, in the workplace, if you're coming to work and you're not well rested, you're not going to understand the boss. Your antenna are not going to pick up what the boss is trying to tell you. And that's not going to be good.
Not good. Yeah. Many years ago, I had a dear friend who was involved in McDonald's, and he told me a story that I thought was wonderful. And that was about the chief operating officer of McDonald's US every day between 1 and 2 took a nap, and everybody knew it. Like, don't interrupt him. Don't put in calls. We don't care how urgent it is. I'm having my nap. And he did that so he could keep functioning and function at a high level. But that was so smart many, many years ago. And Churchill used to do that too. I just saw a movie about Churchill, and his secretary was giving him all, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And he goes, where's my nap? I don't see my nap on the schedule. He said, I've got to have my bath and I have to have my nap. Now, this is a man who was running World War II, but he took a nap. So there you go.
What you brought up is really important, that sleep experts will tell you that one of the ways to ensure that you do get a good night's rest is your regular sleep routine.
Yes.
You go to bed at the same time. You wake up at the same time. If you take a nap, you take a nap at the same time.
Yes.
But if you're going to bed, one night at 2:00 in the morning or 1:00 in the morning, and another night at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, that irregularity is very destructive to your sleep pattern and will affect your ability to sleep.
Yes, of course. Okay. So we've got all these tests. Now, the other thing I found was interesting, some of the research that you shared and I was looking at, is reproductivity. Tell me about that in men who don't sleep, and, what happens?
So there was one study that showed that men who sleep only 4 to 5 hours have testosterone levels that are 10 years their senior. Okay. So, and I'll give you, this is another interesting one. Men who do not sleep well actually have smaller testicles. If you can believe that.
Well, I can see.
So if you are a man, and women, same, other different consequences, same thing, but your reproductive health and your reproductive system is also affected if you don't sleep well. And this is why we say, sleep truly is really the fountain of youth. That if you're not getting the sleep that you need, that you're going to age faster in many, many different ways, and your reproductive system is just one way.
One way. But in all, what I'm fascinated with is that now now that the research has caught up, there's this huge body of research about sleep that we used to just hear, stories like, and we all, as ourselves, but also as parents, we would see our kids, and I remember sleeping till 1:00 when I was a teenager. And my parents going, get out of bed, you lazy, no good, whatever, and go do what you're supposed to do. And now we understand the teenagers have to do that. And that was an understanding that probably saved a lot of parent-child, arguments. So you have some research too on age-related sleep, right? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, basically, all of the research shows that if you are, only getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night and not doing well, that you are cutting years off of your life expectancy. There's just no question about that because of all the different things we talked about. In fact, I'll tell you one fact that I thought was fascinating that I learned is that the World Health Organization has actually classified if you're working a late night shift and you're, have abnormal sleep hours as you grow older and so forth and so on, they've actually classified that as a carcinogen. That is going to could help you develop cancer by doing that. And so,
wow.
When we talk about diabetes, cancer, obesity, heart disease, all of these things that
Jeff,
are related to not sleeping well.
You've got to excuse me. I've got to go take a nap. I've decided that I've got to go lie down just hearing this. Okay. Now, I know that you specialize in creating a sleep sanctuary for people. So it's not enough just to say, you need, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You've got to have a bed that you can enjoy and come into. And for many of us, including myself, I do a lot more than sleep in a bed. I read, I watch TV. I mean, my bed had better be a sanctuary, better be a comfy little thing to slip into, So tell me about some of the things that your company is doing to help people with their sleep.
Great. So SOMNVIE means sleep well, live well. Okay. And it's our mission to help people create a sleep sanctuary in their bedroom. And one of the more interesting things about our industry is there was a research study done a few years back by Incorporated in the United States that asked people what was the number one factor in their decision to purchase bed linen. What was it? Was it the thread count? Was it the price? Was it the color? What was it? And by a long margin, the biggest factor is the touch and feel of the product. Mm-hmm. And our company recognized this and discovered that e-commerce is terribly insufficient for shopping for bedding because obviously you cannot touch or feel something over the internet.
Right.
They can describe how it might feel, but you can't actually touch it or feel it.
Right, exactly.
And so what we decided to do is to empower independent brand associates throughout the U.S. to represent our line of products with fabric swatches and samples of the product so they could meet one-on-one with a customer, let them touch and feel and experience the product before they buy it, also with the advice of a professional who understands bedding and how to layer your bed for comfort, which is also really important, so that they can create their sleep sanctuary properly. And we also believe in personal service, the personal service that comes along with that.
Sure, of course.
And so that's what we do. But we actually start with products that are developed based on what we've learned about what people want to experience when they get into bed. And I'll give you an example. There are some people that like a very buttery, soft feel when they sleep into bed, when they slip into bed. There are other people who like a crisp sheet that doesn't feel so soft and supple, but it's more crisp. Okay. So in order to create that experience, you have to develop products that are made with that in mind. So in order to create something buttery soft, that takes a very long staple cotton, and we use Supima cotton, which is the longest staple cotton. It's less than 1% of the cotton grown in the United States. And a very fine denier of yarn and a sateen weave to create that buttery soft feel. To create a crisp sheet, you need a different weave, not a sateen. You need a percale weave and maybe a different denier yarn to do that, and a different type of cotton. So these are how we've crafted our products so that unlike shopping at retail,
yes,
where you're presented with 200 thread count, 400 thread count, 600 thread count,
yes,
and you have no, maybe you just buy the highest thread count, but you don't know what you're actually getting, because thread count is not the be all end all when it comes to sheets.
Right. And, us who don't know all that you know, who want to have nice sheets, go out there and we can spend a lot of money on that and get a sheet that really isn't what we want and doesn't hold up and isn't the kind of feel that we really want. But by that time you feel kind of stuck with them, and that's that. So you perfected it by finding out people's personal preferences. All right. When you said buttery soft, I'm kind of going, my head's going back. I'm going, yes. It sounds great.
That happens to be our best-selling sheet.
I bet.
The people absolutely love that buttery soft feel. A lot of people really appreciate that.
Yes, I'm sure. Okay, so you have studied sleep. You have perfected your business to not only help people sleep well, but as they sleep well, to live well. And at the same time, for all these wonderful people, women largely, but men as well, who want to be your brand associates, they can have the great feeling that they are selling a product that has at its basis helping other people. I mean, truly helping them to live longer, be healthier, function better, I love that. It's a great way to, to combine doing well and making money at the same time.
That's right, Pat, exactly. And it's an entrepreneurial opportunity for anyone who is interested in helping people sleep well and live well.
Yes.
It's easy to start the business, and you can actually build a team, develop a group of people that you're working with, and earn a very good income through this process.
Sure.
The other things too, that each night when I rest my head on my pillow, I know one thing is that we also have a program in our company called Share the Comfort, which empowers our independent brand associates to donate pillows to a local shelter, whether it's a domestic violence shelter or a homeless shelter in their local market. And I'm proud to say that we've donated hundreds upon hundreds of pillows.
I love that.
Out there, to people who need comfort at a difficult time in their lives.
Yes.
And so this is another reason. The thing that drives me is that it's not just helping people who can afford it and who can create their own sleep sanctuary, but are in a situation where it's really difficult. So
yes.
I'm very proud of that.
Well, you should be. And giving them a good night's sleep is a real gift of life to those folks as well. Okay, so I'm this podcast is going all over. What's going all over internationally as well. So somebody's interested. They're hearing about this. They're going, I want to be a part of that. How do they get hold of you, Jeff?
It's really simple. You just go to SOMNVIE.com. It's SOMNVIE.com.
Yeah.
And there's a contact us down there at the bottom on the footer of the website. And just submit your information there, and we will contact you and give you all the information that you need. There's a tremendous amount of information already on the website, and you can get all of that through it's actually a brand new website that we just launched. But just contact us through the website, and we will reach out to you and give you whatever information you need to either enroll as a brand associate or just simply shop with a brand associate.
Sure. It sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. And I see a new pillow in my future.
I think I can help you with that.
I think you can. All right. Thank you, Jeff. And appreciate having you on.
Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home on the web at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.